When you say let her rip, hopefully does not mean,
No,
hard.
it doesn't mean that. We're live, by the way. I'm putting this on Facebook as we go live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Zennie62 Live for Thursday night at out your way, 9:46, and it is 12:46 here. Yeah. So got I think for the first time ever, I believe the first time ever I have all you all, all you all. All you all. We used to say that in Chicago on the street. All you all. I'm gonna get all you all. I think that's. I'm sorry. I've had all four of the five Zennie62 vloggers. I invited Jessica, but she's sick, so she'll be on tomorrow night. But I have all four. I have Richard Haick, I have Donald Richardson, I have Vinny Lospinoso, and I have the legendary Joseph Armendariz, all in one cyber room. That's something else. That's something else. Welcome, guys. How you doing?
Hey,
yeah, cool. Hey, so we've had a weird day, to say the least. I'm writing hashtag sports canceled is in this tweet canceled, and there's no shortage of unusual occurrences with the NBA canceling its season. NASCAR just announced it's canceled, and then on the non-sports front, I went to Kroger here in Fayette County, Georgia, and there was a run on the store like it was Christmas Eve. I mean, am I missing anything, guys? How about you, Richard? You want to start for us?
Wow. Well, besides that, there's a ton of concerts, conventions. Schools are closed here. Well, in some places, like my son's school is not closed yet. There's I was out shopping today personally, and I mean, you couldn't get into Costco. People were fighting over toilet paper and paper towels at Rayleigh's. Dollar store was the only place that had bleach left. It's things are getting weird, and I'm not really sure what people are fighting about either. But
bleach and toilet paper, you just said it.
No, I mean, but like, why? It's like, I'm like, are you afraid of the disease? Are you like afraid of like just not being able to get anything later? I'm like,
yeah.
But
fear is contagious.
Yeah. The other thing, Little League was canceled too, so that's the one that breaks my heart. So.
Oh boy. And yet we have the NFL going strong.
And
what do you think?
Oh, XFL killed their season completely.
Huh.
They're just done. They're like, see you next year. Shut the doors. We're done. They're not postponing. They straight up canceled.
Was that today?
What
I missed
brings
that.
up a question that I put on the blog earlier was I think it's inevitable that the draft either gets a public cancellation and it might virtually do a draft online, but I don't see at this point it going forward to be exposing tens of thousands of people possibly in a Vegas environment to do a draft live.
Well, I don't think tens of thousands of people are going to come in the circumstances because, you come to see the players, and what kind of situation are you going to have if the players themselves are not showing up? Okay.
Right.
So if you don't have NFL events, like according to the Raiders and according to Mark Davis, they're talking about canceling certain NFL fan events. All right. If you cancel the NFL experience at the draft, that generally draws 100,000 people. There's no reason to come there. If you cancel any of the standard exhibits the NFL rolls out, like the Lombardi Trophy presentation or the ring shows, there's nothing for the people to see. There's no reason for them to come. So if there's no reason for them to come other than to watch a giant television to see somebody get picked, you're more than likely going to have fewer people. And if you don't have your top picks, if Tua doesn't come because he has his own thing, which I think is likely, or if
Burrow,
yeah, thank you, Joe Burrow doesn't come, or any of the top picks, if they don't come, yeah, that's a real problem. And it's happened before where they didn't come, but now you've got a pandemic, because that's what it officially is called by the World Health Association, a pandemic. And now you've got this pandemic, and the pandemic is saying, hey, you know what? You better stay at home. And so why is it that, so in all of this fear and all of this shutdown, my thought is, how long is it going to go on for? What's it going to take to stop it? And where do we go from here? Barry Lee says he's a manager at a movie theater, and with all the canceled upcoming features, he says he's afraid they'll have to shut down temporarily. It's a freeze. And to me, this is what really bothers me, okay? When you look up the definition of coronavirus, all right? Like, it'll tell you, like I'll do it right now online, and I'll look up coronavirus, symptoms, okay? All right. So symptoms of coronavirus disease, it says the following symptoms may appear 2 to 14 days after exposure: fever, cough, shortness of breath. And it says, all right, and it's basically fever, coughing, and shortness of breath are the common cold, right? So it says how to protect yourself. What you do if you're sick. It says stay at home, avoid public areas, stay away from others, limit contact. But it doesn't. It says call ahead before visiting your doctor. Wear a face mask. Cover your coughs and sneezes, and clean your hands often. Avoid sharing personal household items. Clean all high-touch surfaces. Monitor your symptoms. All right, and then it says discontinuing home isolation, and then a footnote. It says nothing about if the symptoms are much like that of having the flu or the common cold, then why don't I, treat it like it's the flu or the common cold? Or better yet, why don't I pre-medicate myself in order so that it doesn't hang on as much, right? Or sweat it out. So my point is, it's like they're telling us if you have it, you're just screwed. You can't do anything. But the symptoms are like the flu. And yet, if you look up the flu treatment, they tell you to do something, right? That's what doesn't make any sense to me. It's like somebody out there, it's like in this whole rush, they're not, something's really wrong.
They don't know enough about it to know if your typical treatments are going to work. But I think the more important part is how deadly it is compared to a flu. Sure, the sheer numbers, just the plain numbers. Yeah, a lot of people die of the flu, but percentage-wise, that mortality rate, the morbidity rate is much higher. So, especially for certain age groups, it's not one of those things that's going to hit everybody the same. So it's I think that's the bigger deal. But I do think there's a little bit of extra caution. It's still pretty. It's not as what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say addictive, but that's not it. It's not as aggressive. You can't catch it as easily as certain other flus. What was the one that was a couple years ago? SARS 1
Mhm.
was much deadlier. It was close to 10% death rate, and but it was harder to catch, and so but a lot of people died. And then we had was it MERS?
Mhm.
About 4 years ago.
Mhm.
No, more than that. It was 2012.
We had swine. We also had Ebola.
Yeah.
We had avian flu. We've had we also had I don't know, in like the last 20 years we've dealt with so many different diseases, but none of them have led to the suspensions or cancellations or delays.
Right.
For all these events, it tells you just how fast and how rapidly this disease in particular spreads compared to, like, let's say a swine flu or an Ebola.
Well, if I can interject, Vinny,
Yeah.
Joseph,
Go ahead.
and then the other thing with
Donald Richardson. Yeah. Go ahead.
that comment, just to piggyback on that, is that according to different, the confusing part of all this, for example, McGovern Medical School in Houston, Texas, said the virus that travels in droplets, and they said this is very good news with an airborne virus. One person could infect the whole room, but to contradict that, a study by scientists from Princeton and UCLA claimed that virus could remain airborne for up to 3 hours. So what are we to believe? Because, like Vinny had said, never in recent history have there been mass closures. So that begs the question. Initially, the thought was it was through droplets, through sneezing or coughing, that the droplets would spread and attach to somebody. But now we're not even sure, because this new study from Princeton and UCLA said that it's plausible that virus could stay airborne for 3 hours.
Wow.
I mean,
that's
that's
something.
So contradictory, so much. I'm honestly very, very scared. Like, some schools are closed. Like where I go to school, Hofstra, they're closed until 23rd. However, both my parents, who have been teaching for over 30 years, and my brother, their schools are still open.
Yeah.
No, it's wild. And I am reading about the New York Post has an article on a woman who survived it, and she said that she thought she had the common cold, so she took. Her name is Elizabeth Schneider. She's 37, and she said that she was sharing her story to give people a little bit of hope, and she basically had fever, body aches, left the office, and she took over-the-counter flu medication, called a friend to be on standby in case she needed to go to the hospital, but the fever receded over the following days, and so she thought she didn't have COVID-19 because she'd experienced the usual symptoms such as coughing or shortness of breath. And she was up to date with her flu shot. By the way, get your flu shot. I have mine. But thought her illness was due to a different strain. When she visited her doctor, she was instructed to go home, rest up, and drink large amounts of fluids. The way she began to suspect she had something more serious was via social media. And so she wrote a research paper called the Seattle Flu Study in hopes of getting to the bottom of her sickness. And so she was mailed a nasal swab kit by the researcher, which she mailed back. And then she waited a couple of days, and then she got a call with the bad news. She had tested positive for COVID-19, but she said she felt relieved. And so what happened was that the symptoms had already subsided by the time she was diagnosed. And the local health authorities told her to stay at home for 7 days, or up to 70 or up to 72 hours after the symptoms stopped. And so basically, it says if you think you have it, you probably do. If your symptoms aren't life-threatening, simply stay at home, medicate with over-the-counter medicine, drink lots of water, get a lot of rest, and check out the shows you want to binge watch. But but I mean, the thing about it to me is that, I mean, look, the whole point is there's definitely a problem out there where people are able to catch colds more easily, and this article proves what I'm saying. If you take better care of yourself, you self-medicate, you have stand a better chance of getting rid of it, But a lot of people don't tell you to self-medicate. They just say, oh well, clean now and go to this and don't do that. But they don't say anything about taking what she did. She took over-the-counter flu medicines. Imagine if she hadn't done any of that. That's what gets me. Imagine I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just say if you look at a lot of what they're talking about though is that for some people they say it, and a majority of the people that you might just get a sniffle, maybe a small cough, and then that's it. And then for some people it's going to be more like a bad cold, and then you have people who have more problems, cardiovascular issues, and they could die. But I feel like that's like kind of the story with almost any of these flus, common flus.
Yeah.
But I think the issue with this one isn't that it's so deadly or anything like that. It's that a lot of places early on did a really bad job of containing it.
Say that one more time.
China had containing it, and then now we're doing a bad job of containing it. But we have a president who is in direct opposition of actual experts and
or the cat.
People who know what they're talking about versus a guy's like, it's no big problem. It's a Democrat hoax. You're like, you're endangering people.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right, now it's my turn to.
Go ahead.
I got to chime in right here.
Yeah, Donald Richardson, go ahead. Go Don.
Okay, so a lot of you guys don't know my background. I'm just gonna give it to you just a little bit. I used to work for the Department of Homeland Security, and this whole week, my government phone been buzzing. I used to be in charge of a FIT team. It's basically FEMA integrational team. Every time there's an emergency in the United States or where U.S. citizens are, we spin up, get ready, and we're on the go. In California, there's 200 FIT teams. I was in charge of FIT Team 121. Right now on Travis Air Force Base, there is 121 FIT teams ready to go. They have put down, I want to say 47 what are they? No, it's not F. The C-17s, and like they're like this is like when I found out a couple of days ago how real things are getting when they brought in the 932 people from not San Francisco, from the port of Oakland, to Travis Air Force Base, and they went to a stage 2 lockdown of the base. So the only way you can get on the base is if you're military personnel, active duty military personnel, or active civilian status.
Jesus.
Other than that, you're not getting on. No FedEx, no UPS, none of that. So the people that are usually in charge of settling this thing and getting it, like they've got prepared test kits going out across the nation. Travis is like the second largest base in the United States as far as mobility command. They're getting ready to ship these from the military bases out to the rest of the country.
How long will that take, Donald? Do you know?
Honestly, it could probably take up to three to 4 months.
What?
Oh man.
This is like we're way behind the ball.
Oh.
Way behind the ball.
Yeah.
In other countries, they were doing like 17,000 tests a month. A month. We've did like 8,000 tests in the last three months.
Just despicable.
I'm wondering. I was reading to you about the Seattle flu test. I'm wondering if I can tell you all how to sign up for that.
Not from Seattle, unfortunately.
You have to be in Seattle. Seattle flu study. Oh, it said they defied the government to test for coronavirus.
Oh,
Yeah, I
But
just read that. It says
I'm
how
not
Seattle
from
flu
Seattle,
study.
man.
Yeah, they
I'm not.
oh, go to
Might
hey
not be.
hey folks, if you're
I have,
listening to this, say that one more time.
I have family and a couple friends from Seattle.
Oh, they try it.
No, but you know they're scared. They're scared out of their mind because I mean you have 40 people that are dead there currently at the moment, and wow, they have no idea what's going to happen. They're not going back to theirs. They're not going back home because why would you? And Washington State has the most amount of cases at the moment. They're very, very scared. They're trying to keep as much as they can. But
Hey, I found, by the way, for those of you who are interested in the Seattle flu study, it's at seattleflu.org. I'm looking at it right now. I'm gonna put it on video. It's so if you're on YouTube, you can see it. It's right here. It's Seattle Flu, seattleflu.org. You can see that. You see if I can center that properly, so that it's visible. Hold on a second. Let me make sure I've got my version of our channel up so that I can see it. Make sure that you're getting the right view. Whoops. You're probably gonna double. Oh yeah, you can see it right there. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's it. That's the Seattle flu. Excuse me. Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. That says help fight the flu in Seattle. Learn more. Seattleflu.org right here. Seattleflu.org. So check it out, folks. And sign up. I don't know what the restrictions are. If maybe they'll give you an exception if you don't really live in Seattle, like maybe if you live in Oakland. But you would think that other organizations would copy what Seattle flu study is doing, and just make the federal government behave. Because if the government is slowing us down, as Donald Richardson just revealed, we have to go beyond the government. This is ridiculous.
Well,
they're gonna get us killed.
For this is Joseph. For Richard and Donald, I just read that Kaiser up north in the Bay Area is going to be having drive-through coronavirus testing.
Huh.
Nice.
And that was just reading 5 hours ago.
I'm looking at that.
I just put the URL up.
Personal side on this is it's been on my mind the last week or two because as Zennie knows, my mom died a couple weeks ago, and thank you.
Rest in peace. Yeah.
We still don't know what killed her.
What?
My mom.
Oh my God.
They didn't really do an autopsy. My mom was under doctor's care. My mom's had heart problems, cardiovascular issues. My mom did that in that little category, and my mom had a bit of a cold, but didn't think anything of it. My mom died basically right when this thing was really starting to hit, and I've had a cold and a cough and everything, and so did my son. I'm like, I wonder. I'm wondering. I'm like, wow, did I do it? There's that little lingering part because, for some people who for younger folks, it could just be just your typical cold, and for somebody who's elderly and has health problems, unfortunately, when I asked the coroner, I'm like, hey, is that something you guys could test for? And they're like, we don't even have test kits. And it's too late. My mom's been cremated already, so we won't know.
Wow.
But I'm like, what about me?
And you know what's the sad thing about that, Richard, Joseph, is that the CDC rejected the World Health Organization test kits because they wanted to create their own. Because South Korea, who leads the world in testing and also stopping the spread of the coronavirus, is using the test kits that's been implemented by the WHO. And the CDC, with this current administration, rejected it and decided they're going to do their own test kits. But the problem with that they didn't know exactly what they were going to be testing for.
Oh my God! Hey guys, I want to get in the comments that have been written here. I don't want to get too far along without missing. Barry Lee has got a lot to say. He says that the stock market's in shambles and his 401k is hurting so bad that he got his employer. And then Raiders SP writes, they lie to us all the time about things. I mean the government. And Barry Lee adds, my question is, if the government knew about China, why didn't they prepare sooner by getting more tests stockpiled and take more preventative measures? Raider adds, I think China is covering up about it being man-made so that their government won't look bad. And Barry Lee says the economic impact is going to last long after COVID-19. He wrote Corbett, but he meant COVID-19 is under control. Barry Lee then adds, if San Antonio doesn't fiesta next month here, then I think it's a ticking time bomb waiting to happen with the amount of people expected. I also posted the URL to the Seattle flu study, seattleflu.org. And then Barry Lee added, today alone, Disney canceled Mulan, the New Mutants, and Enter, along with closing Disneyland. Thank you, Antler. And along with closing Disneyland and Disney World. And John Akala, how you doing? John says hello. So if season is if IFL season is going to be canceled, it's not, or postponed after they play Saturday game with any fans. Oh, is it? I don't know. All I know is that the Oakland Panthers are the only game in town. There's no Warriors. There's no spring training. There's no spring break. So, hey, Saturday, if you can't really go to the game per se, but you can watch it on television, and they're going to have, they even told us because we have myself, Donald Richardson, and Richard Haick as our vloggers who are approved by the Oakland Panthers of the IFL, and they sent out an email for us saying, hey, look, media's not coming. They're going to have the press. They're going to have the press live stream, if you will, that we can watch on Facebook. But other than that, it's going to be just like watching Jimmy Fallon tonight. Nobody in the audience, just the studio people. That's it.
Yeah.
And so then Raiders SP adds, do you think it's man-made? And then he follows and then Barry Lee says, Zennie, what do you think about the MLB? Even though opening day is delayed by 2 weeks, do you think it will be longer? And the answer is yes, I do. Now, as far as it being man-made, I'll put it this way, okay? I find it extremely disturbing that it seems like we're not allowed to openly speculate what's going on when if you say, okay, this was the Wuhan weapons, and Donald, I like your input on this because you're a soldier, all right? But you fought for us. But so I like a soldier's input on this. But my point is that I find it very suspicious that we can't say, oh, this was the Wuhan viral the Wuhan Virology Lab, or the Wuhan Institute of Virology, that created this, and yet somehow it was disseminated into our society, when that's the same organization that was responsible for the SARS virus being accidentally disseminated in our society. And this is not the first time this has happened with them. Instead, it's, it would happen in a market with live animals. Oh, those Chinese live, markets. I said, wait a minute. Those things have been around for thousands of years. You mean to tell me that all of a sudden, after 1,000 years, that all of a sudden a bat is going to basically bite a German Shepherd in the ass? That German Shepherd is going to bite some dude, and that's how it's spread? I mean, do you know how many times a bat has bit a German Shepherd in the ass, and that German Shepherd's bit somebody else? I mean, this is nuts. You know,
that seems
so
minuscule thing.
yeah. So I'm saying, wait a minute. If I were, and this reminds me of the show with Mark Close and John Goodman, that lasted for all of one season. But for those of us who are interested in bioscience and science fiction and $6 Million Man and Bionic Woman stuff, it was cool to watch. And then of course they had the Bionic Woman, and but the show was called oh gosh, forgot the name of that show now, unfortunately. But
what
first,
year was it that show came out?
I'm gonna get it in a second. It was a TV show, and I believe it came out like 19. Oh my lord. It was, I want to say 1998, maybe somewhere in there, maybe 2001 or something like that. But at any rate, the first episode of it, and it'll come to me because it didn't last long. But the first episode of it, it was called the first episode was called The Eggman, and the Eggman, in the entire episode, it was like there was this guy. Now and Again, I found it. Yeah, it's called Now and Again. It was made by Glenn Gordon Caron. It premiered in 1999, and that's the only year that it lasted. And it had this. The first episode was about this Eggman who everybody thought was a super dangerous, super criminal, and it turned out to be this elderly Asian fellow who was dropping these deadly eggs in subways in majorly heavily populated cities like Tokyo. Okay, and so my thought is, along the lines of the Eggman, if you really wanted to hurt millions of people, that's what you do. You create this deadly um, uh, virus, or this that could be dropped in an egg or something someplace in a market, and this guy was doing it in a subway, and he was headed to a market, and then try to take out millions of people. And so my point is, when you raise that, people say, oh, you're being racist by talking about it where it occurred, or it's not possible because they say that it happened in a live market, but they don't. But they say, and then they admit, when you say, well, wait a minute, how did it happen in a live market? Nobody has the answer. Okay, that's what bothers me. People seem content to not have the answer, and if it points to some type of engineering, so what? But in a pre-internet environment, as we had when the Challenger exploded, what did we do? We formed a commission. Now, I mean, I'll shut up because Donald, what do you think? And then I know Richard wants to say something, and so I'll shut up. What do you guys think?
All right, this is what I think. Right before COVID-19 came out, you had China was having issues. You had civil unrest with the protests, and we were basically at financial war with China. This is how it's been. This is what was pointed out to me. So you want to kill two birds with one stone. You have this virus. This virus gets rid of media first, because nobody wants to be in a country where people are just dying from something in the air. Now, all these students, all these people that want certain rights, they don't want to be outside because they don't want to die of something floating around in the air. Now you got people traveling from country to country to Western countries, European countries, countries like the U.S. And in the U.S., the biggest divider, the biggest thing in the U.S. is fear. Once that the powers that be knew once a hint of that virus hit our shores, that it was going to be lockdown city. And that's basically what's happened systematically. And in a month or two, my prediction is it's only going to get worse. Somewhere in this country, we will see martial law put in place. There are, like right now, the big debate that's going on is shutting down travel between Washington and California. They are in courts right now debating the legality of that. So
go ahead.
Sorry. So the best way that they could enact that is by enacting martial law and banning people from those two states moving in. And it's going to cripple this country.
To piggyback on that, and kind of going back, you were talking about questioning how this stuff happens and stuff. I mean, there's a million of whether it's man-made or it's Pakistan or whatever, and regarding like the martial law issue, that is something that is being raised. Maybe something short of it, where they're shutting down everything: airports, schools, your local grocery store. You can't make transactions. You can't buy gas. You can't buy food. And some people are like, maybe this is the way that we're going to get rid of all the homeless people. There's a million ways it can go, and I think it's kind of a dangerous road to kind of go down some of those. But the fact is, we didn't jump on it fast enough, and we aren't taking it seriously. Well, some of us aren't. There's a, you have one group of people who are saying this is no big deal, and then you have another group who's saying this is totally a big deal. And we haven't seen everything yet. My nephew is in Italy right now. He's at Aviano Air Base. He's in the Air Force, and he's seen this stuff firsthand. We haven't seen anything yet. In the next couple weeks, we're going to see these numbers spike, but then you're also going to see all of these viruses kind of follow this bell curve, and you're going to see a spike, and then you're going to see it drop off. But it's how big that spike is going to be. If you don't do anything, that spike's going to be huge. You're going to have hospitals that are overcrowded. You're going to have people who aren't able to be helped. You're going to have doctors who are going to have to say who needs help more, and you'll lose people in that way. Mm-hmm. If you do something about it, if you lock things down, you shut down schools, that sort of thing, you can at least bring it down to a manageable level. It won't be as fast, but you'll have less deaths. You'll have a more manageable thing, but it will be a longer term. Mm-hmm. And I think that's important to kind of keep in mind. I'm extremely disappointed. I literally got my A's access package from FedEx today, and it's going to go on a shelf now because everything's canceled. I have concerts. I'm a photographer. I photograph events. I had a cancellation on Wednesday. I have a cancellation on Sunday. Guys I work with are out of work now. Because they can't go to their jobs, whether they're concessionaires or light and sound guys. My buddy D Sharp works for the Warriors. He's the DJ. Yeah, he's another dude out of work. They don't need a DJ when there's no crowd. And there's, he's not. All these folks aren't getting the money that they and that's just a small part. There's an economic impact that's going to happen, and it's going to be hurting us for a while. This can throw us. I don't think we're going to go depression level yet, but if they don't get a handle on this quickly, I mean, it could go that way. I mean, the Fed dropped $1.5 trillion into the stock market today. This time, trying to correct.
Wow.
I mean, that's insane. Meanwhile, we can't get an emergency time off for the regular folks, but we'll bail out the bankers this time again.
Well, the good news is that Zennie62Media will be here.
Yeah, I have a lot of free time right now.
Well, piggyback on the sports angle, Richard.
I was going to say, guys, get sponsors. Get out there and make sponsor deals. Since you all are part of the company and you're actually stockholders, and
nice.
So yeah, hey, it is truly a capitalist system, and we are truly a true organization that is approved by the state of Delaware. So and so hey, we have room to maneuver and deals to be made. So I just want to put that out there publicly. And if you're watching this and you don't like the news about yourself online, you contact me, Zennie, at Zennie62Media.net. I also, by the way, I'm proud to say there were also Zennie62Media.com. I recovered the name that was stolen from me 4 years ago. Now, and I only cost me $10. Woohoo! So because the guy that was being a butthole apparently took his eye off the ball. And hey, good Lord be willing, and good Lord said, hey, look, your name is ready. Go get it. So I got it. Hey, let me before you chime in, let me read these comments before I get too far. I promised these folks that I would get their statements in. Let me go back here.
Okay.
We talked about the MLB, Barry Lee, and Barry Lee said China should be held responsible. Adrian Sanchez says, who care about sports? We're talking about humanity, globe, one thing at a time. Raiders P says, that's my thoughts on it, Zen, because they don't want us to think it was made in a lab. Raiders P says, that's my thought. So that whole bat thing, I think is BS. Yes. And then the bat thing he's talking about is with a bat. There's a whole
bat soup.
Yeah, a bat bit an animal like a dog, and the dog bit a human, and that's how the coronavirus COVID. I keep saying ID. COVID-19. I don't know why I keep saying ID instead of 19, but why COVID-19 was passed on, which I think, like I said, there's been thousands of years of bats biting dogs in the butt and the same dog biting a human, so it doesn't make any sense to
me. But dogs can't carry.
Well, okay, so there you go. I didn't realize that either. So
that was the thing that came out today.
Dogs can't carry?
Dogs can't carry. But I did see a really cool thing. There's it's a video from an epidemiologist from she works at the Academy of Arts and Sciences. I think that's what it was, in San Francisco. And she goes into the whole thing of how this is actually SARS-2, COVID-19. And they're all related. They're related to MERS and the SARS and a couple other things, and how they are all related, and they all have a gene. She talked about how they're all related to genetically to bats. And then, so there's a whole thing. It's on. I saw it on Twitter, so it's there. It exists. Maybe take a look at that if you have a minute.
Yeah. So let me.
Might be enlightening.
Oh yeah, let me finish reading this, and I'll come back to the conversation. And then anyway, Raiders PhP says, when I first heard about the bat story, I was like, this sounds like some real BS. And then he follows, and people tend to believe the lies without doing your own research. Barry Lee says, and so what's with the run on toilet paper in stores? And I want to come back to that in a second, because that's a good question. Rated P. Barry says, I agree 100% of the powers that be are behind the virus. Hey, Eric Young, how you doing? And then Rated P. says, most recently, Zen, I don't know if you listen to Alex Jones, but he really has a good theory about this coronavirus. Yeah, but is he out of jail yet? He got arrested for a DUI.
He just got busted for a DUI. That guy is so off the rails, man. I wouldn't take anything he says seriously. But hey, if you ask my buddy, he's like, hey, maybe we finally have a. I don't know if you guys really followed all these nut jobs a few years back, but there was a thing back in the Obama days where there were these FEMA camps and there was all these coffin liners and stuff. I don't know if you saw that.
No.
You know, and all the nuts were going, they're gonna kill us. You know, that's actually a big Alex Jones thing was, you know, the world's overpopulated and they're gonna get us with some disease to call the herd. And then the rest of us are just gonna be slaves to the oligarchs. You know, that's been the story he's been writing for a good 12 years now.
It would seem the world is catching up to him.
Because my question is, what part don't you believe that the FEMA camps existed or the body bag?
Well, they exist because there's photos, at least photographic evidence that these things exist. It's just, what's the purpose of them? When was it going to happen? You know, how was it going to happen? Honestly, if you're trying to kill a lot of people, this is a really terrible disease to do. I would be trying to get something that has like a huge death rate, like Ebola. I'd be trying to get that out into the public, not something that's only going to kill 3% of the people. You know, I want something that's going to kill like 70% of the people. I want something that's going to be, you know, if you're going to go, you got to go hard. You know, but
I agree.
That's not funny, but
there's better ways to do this, but.
Yeah, with me, I mean, people were making the conspiracies. I mean, if it is in fact something that was made in the lab, I think we would eventually find that out. But I mean, why specifically this one in particular? And something that they apparently knew about it. Then
that's a great question. Well, it's a spread. You know, I think it's two things. First of all, the fact that it's spread and the fact that there's no vaccine for it. But what bothers me again is that if it's like the flu, then hey, just you know what, go out and buy your severe flu medicine and then take it before you actually think you got the flu, right?
I did that today.
Yeah, I did too. One of you is coughing. Who is that who's coughing? Cover.
It's me. Hey. Like I said, folks, I think maybe I might have it, and I want to go and check out this thing at the Kaiser.
You should drink black tea. Drink black tea.
Oh, I got a ton of that.
Yeah.
could you
hey,
see
I got a question for all you guys.
Oh, yeah.
All right, here's a question for all you guys. All right. If you were put in charge of a sports organization and you were told by the owner of the organization, you were the president, I don't care what they say, I want that game to go on. What would you do? What would you do?
I'd play. That's where I'm at with this. Is play to a televised audience. Everybody knows that the real money's on TV. And if we're all sitting on our butts at home, we got to have something to watch. I'm done with Netflix. I've been jonesing for baseball since September, and you know, here's time, and it's getting ripped right out from under us. Then we also have NHL. I haven't been into the NHL or NBA this season because the Warriors and the Sharks are terrible this year. But still got people who want to watch. And, I mean, it's a tough one. Because, I mean, Rudy Gobert has it, so he's going to be in contact with his teammates and whoever he's playing. And those guys are going to go play some other teams tomorrow, and you're going to spread it all around the league. Yep. So there's that.
You know what's sad about that is that, you know, Richard being a big baseball fan, you know, here at Dodger Stadium locally where I'm at, they just spent $100 million revitalization stadium for the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Anybody else have an idea?
So not.
With me, I think that I don't know, like everything's getting canceled. Everything's going left and right, and I personally think this. Some are saying that could the MLB it's going to resume back up again. I think this could get canceled up until like June. if I'm being completely honest.
like a half season.
Yeah, like I can see them maybe canceling a lot of it, maybe like cancel the All-Star game. Just like, whether they cancel a lot of the games or they postpone it, but I don't know about postponing, because if you do that, because in the late season's so long, you'd have to cut a lot of it out. And not only that, you're seeing you could say this is coming at a very, very weird time in the MLB, because you have this stuff with the Houston Astros. You have the constant infighting that happens with, a lot of the sports journalists over there, the Hall of Fame stuff. People are still extremely bitter about it, and it's increasingly getting more and more animosity towards it.
Hey, what's this infighting among sports journalists? What's going on?
Well, not among sports journalists. I mean, fans against sports journalists.
Oh, well, elaborate on that. Tell us.
Well, I'm a huge Hall of Fame guy. I follow these Halls of Fame closer than most people, and I just noticing that, this could just be Twitter being Twitter, but I remember that when Derek Jeter barely, he was one vote shy of, and you would not believe the level of animosity that ensued afterwards. And a lot of it was directed towards them, at a lot of these journalists that were trying to make a statement, and some of these arrogant ones saying, "Oh, I'm sorry I couldn't vote for your favorite player," and when the stuff with the Astros came out, now granted, I am one of those people that understands what happened with the Astros. However, I'm also aware that many other situations that have gone on, and I don't think the Astros are the only team that have done this. But you have Jeff Pazon and Ken Rosenthal, and many people have also kind of noticed, the Red Sox, the Yankees, and the Dodgers are the three most popular teams in the MLB. The Astros beat all of them, and Astros fans are saying that. Is there truth to it? I don't know. When they say that, there could be some validity towards it. Astros players have been getting a lot of flack thrown at them. I do think they might have been suspended, but they should be suspended. But Manfred's handled that horribly. The team itself hasn't handled it well. Just the animosity towards it, is just so immense. And with the coronavirus stuff, oh man, you're at a point in which people are just going nuts about a lot of things, and some people are saying good riddance towards it. Like, for instance, for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I've been seeing people that are literally happy that it was delayed because, no joke, they wanted to teach them a lesson for not having Pat Benatar make it this year. Or some other I'm not joking.
Wow.
It tells you just how much people care about this stuff, and so much so that they're literally willing to ignore a virus just so that way their favorite band or musician or whatever can make a Hall of Fame. That tells you how serious this stuff is to people. That shows you how, in many of these situations, with politics, with entertainment, with everything, the base tends to care way, 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 way more than the people in charge. And also that even in entertainment, way back in late February, Paramount announced that they'd be delaying the Japanese and Chinese release of Sonic the Hedgehog, which was really massive in the U.S. I do think it will be successful when it is released. And then, a week later, MGM announced that next James Bond would get postponed. And then today, oh man, Fast and Furious getting pushed back a year. Quiet Place, Mulan.
James Bond is pushed back to November.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, wait a second. Well, why suddenly now? Why, Disney, would you wait until now to move back Antlers, New Mutants, who you by the way, put that out of its misery already? It's been delayed so many times.
Yeah.
Just dump it on Hulu and call it a day. The Fox X-Men films are over. Thank God. The continuity was all over the place. And as for Mulan, that's what I don't understand with you, Disney. Paramount Pictures, who had a property that people did not believe in for almost 6 years, was a big success. Got 70 million when they were supposed to make 30 million in its opening weekend, and it pushed itself back when they knew that the stuff in China and the rest of Southeast Asia was very, very bad. Meanwhile, you have Mulan. Disney is the largest film company in the world, and they knew that China would be the biggest market for that movie, but they just kept it on schedule. They continued to keep it on schedule, knowing that all this stuff would happen, and they just did not care until everyone else did it. Everyone else was pushing their movies back, and then finally Disney caves in and says, "Oh, we're going to push back Mulan." I said, "Okay, where were you? Where were you months ago when this stuff was going crazy out of control and thousands, tens of thousands of people were contracting the disease, and thousands are already dead, and probably even more?" I mean, Disney, it's just so idiotic of you, and it just could increase this. I don't get it. Like, it just shows you the difference between the people that make one film, people that actually speak with the fans, and actually the people that were just arrogant, didn't really care about the others, and just decided to go along with it when everyone else was. It just tells you.
But I think
that's right. Hey, hold that thought. Hey, folks, hold that thought. Hey, Richard, hold that thought. I just want to show you guys something real quick. Lily Singh, a YouTuber who has her own late night show now on NBC. She's got, if you take a look at this, she's got a live studio audience. See that? She's got a live studio audience so there are people who are still keeping up the tradition. Okay, go ahead, Richard. So I just throw that
well, I
in
was
there.
gonna say we're talking about what was going on, and there's a lot of this downplaying all across the board. Like, it really made me think about it because Donald Trump did it. He's like, well, we didn't want to test these people because if we test them and they're positive, that's going to jump the numbers up, and I'm going to look bad. Like, well, who else is doing it?
Right.
Who cares?
Yeah, so we don't have a real number. I mean, we're getting the PR number. We're not getting the real number.
Yeah.
We're not getting, and then
it's a little like Las Vegas and how it handles things writ large, huh?
Yeah, it's like, well, we have 25,000 seats sold. Yeah, but they all didn't show up. But what you were talking about with the girl on there's a lot of dudes, like I said, that I talk to who are, they're like, we're playing. We're gonna play. Regardless of what these things say. If we don't play at the venue that we said we were gonna play at, we'll go play at some dude's warehouse somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
They're not big bands. Nobody's selling 1,000 tickets. But Joe's band is going down there, and they're gonna play to 60, 70 people, and they're still gonna have a night. Meanwhile, there's small there's like that Oakland comedy, and they do it out of Spice Monkey, and
You're talking about that?
They're canceling their show. Is that
they are the canceling?
Yeah, they're canceling their shows for the foreseeable future. I'm like, you're only playing to like 40 people.
Wow.
It's not that serious. I mean, don't shake hands.
It is that serious.
I know, but if you're doing any of these things like social distancing and stuff, then you should be okay. Why is it we can't go to a sports thing and everything, but we can all go to work tomorrow?
Yeah, or
nobody cares about that.
Unless you
that's
cyber
here.
work like me,
That's here in the U.S. In other countries, they're shutting down factories.
Oh, yeah.
They're shutting down stores. So only in the U.S., are they saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I'm just. Maybe I'm doing a poor job of it, but I'm just kind of pointing out some of these ideas. Some of these.
As a matter of fact, I'd like to interject just one more. As a matter of fact, in San Jose, at San Jose Airport, they've already told 40 TSA workers.
Oh yeah.
don't even come to work for the next 2 weeks.
Jeez.
They've got 15 Southwest workers not coming to work at all.
Oh.
Later on tonight, I'm going to get the numbers for San Francisco and Oakland.
Yeah. Well,
So
I hope they don't shut down. My family's coming in this week, so.
Same for Atlanta. Ditto. That's something. Hey, Barry Lee adds. He says, regarding my question, what would you do if you were the president of a sports organization? The owner said the show must go on. Barry Lee says, and I would ask at what price, and then he says, and then I would tell the owner, not short-term gain that will hurt the organization, possible long-term. Jason D adds that Oregon said we will have 70,000 cases by mid-May in that state, according to their projections. Now, to answer my own question, this is what I would do. Okay, I would down estimate the number of seats so that I had better distance between fans in the arena, and then I would have a lottery so that people who already bought their seats, all right, you'd be able to have a lottery who actually got to come to the game. Those who did not win the lottery would get their money back for the seats they paid for. Okay, but it would actually help us reduce the amount of money we had to pay out by allowing people who wanted to come to pay into an environment that we would make safer by, first of all, having hand sanitizer for everybody that walked in. We would give them their own personal bottle of hand sanitizer. We would find hand sanitizer somewhere in the Bay Area. We would find it. We would have it. We would have, let's say, if we were going to have 2,000 bottles of hand sanitizer, we would give them out. And then first come, first, well, we wouldn't be first come, first, so we make sure that everybody had them. So we have more hand sanitizer than the people that we allowed in by lottery, okay? And then we would have sessions where, first of all, we would make absolutely certain we would get everybody a bag so that with a cleaning bag so that before everything started, once they came in, they were instructed to go to the bathroom and clean their face off with a towel that they throw away. Okay, so the whole point is just basically to be clean, and then everybody would have orange juice. We would not sell alcohol. You would not be able to drink beer. So basically, we would come in and we would basically make sure that you were hydrated, that you had vitamin C and B, and that you were healthy. And then the seats would be designed so that we would arrange it so that you were, okay, maybe 3 feet from your next fan. So we would have you in a way so that you would wind up sitting row to row, fine. But we would split you up on that row so that maybe you'd be every other seat, right? Rather than
the safe distance is 6 feet according to the CDC.
Yeah, so we would measure the seats. We would measure the 6 feet from the middle of the chest. Okay, so that if you think about the seat, we spread it out, and maybe we don't quite get the 6 feet. We get there close, and then we have additional air cleaners to clean out the air faster in the facility. So basically, we were reducing the number of people so that the carbon that we produce is less. We have air cleaners to clean out the air faster. We have people who have making sure that their hands are clean. So that's what I would do. Okay.
I just have a bring your own hazmat knife.
Yeah, can I poke holes? Can I poke holes in that one?
Of course you can. It's a democracy still.
I mean,
to brush your bub a little bit with the hand sanitizer is that there's such a shortage in sourcing materials. My sister is an accountant for a company that makes soap and hand sanitizer, and they're having difficulty sourcing materials to make hand sanitizer.
Oh man!
But see, here's the thing: I've got a sports organization, and I know that somebody out there is going to want to advertise their special hand sanitizer and do business with us. Okay. So I've got the platform, I've got the eyeballs, I've got the facility. I mean, we're not just anybody. And plus, on top of that, we're the only game in town. So what better way to advertise your hand sanitizer than to do business with us?
I would still go with the just empty seats. Just put it on TV. If they're gonna play, I mean, I think there's a certain.
Hey Richard, here's the reason why I didn't want to do it that way. I want to minimize my costs. So I'm thinking if I can bring in some people who already paid, right? That's less I have to pay out. You see what I'm getting at?
Right.
That was my idea. Hey, so go ahead. What were you saying?
I was gonna say, your money's on TV, but everybody who's coming to these games, any game or any event, I mean, it's always on the back of the ticket. That you kind of come at your own peril.
Yeah.
And in this case, not just a ball leaving the field or a player, diving into the stands and landing on you, but you could die.
I hate to say that, but that's true. Yeah.
It's like you want to come to the game, that's on you. But I would create the barrier between the player and the fan, and say no autographs, no meet and greets.
Mm-hmm.
I would take some rows back from the bench. I wouldn't have those rock stars hanging out on the floor with you, and push them back. At that, with baseball, hell, with the A's, I mean, they're already a good 12 feet from third base to the crowd. You're not touching anybody, and now it's going to be netting from foul pole to foul pole. You're not interacting with the fans necessarily. Hockey has the best thing going. They have a 15-foot high plexiglass wall between them and the players. Yeah. You can't high five them if you wanted to.
That's true.
It's but at the same time, we know the players are getting sick. They're human, and they're going to get each other sick.
Yeah.
They are getting each other sick.
So while you guys keep these stadiums open so people can come and watch, what about the people that are going to work the concessions, the people that are going to clean the bathrooms, the people that are going to usher other people in?
Mm-hmm.
You got to take all of
that.
Well, that's what Donald. I'm glad you made that point, because that's why I want to defray the cost of giving people their money back, because that money goes to pay the people that you're talking about. And so therefore, it's incumbent upon me. In fact, if you think about it, if I have the normal complement of people that service the arena for the game, then that means if I have fewer people in the audience because I'm engineering in social distancing, guess what? That's theoretically less work for them. And they can realize a cleaner arena sooner, let alone keep it clean as it's being used. You see what I'm getting at? So
I see what you're getting at, but you've been to a stadium before. You bought a hot dog. You bought a soda, right?
More high end.
or even more high end. But I'm just for example.
Yeah, the Coliseum had the best colossal dogs ever. I'll miss the colossal dogs. Anyway, go ahead.
Did you stand 6 feet away to get that beverage, to get that hot dog, or whatever else
I hate
that was
lines,
high?
but you're talking to a guy who hates lines, okay? So you know what I've done? That's why when I'm at the Raiders games, I buy a club ticket. I hate lines. I'd rather sit at you asked, okay? I'd rather sit at a table, wait for a waitress, and so the way I've designed my life, I've always practiced social distancing. Now that I think about it, I mean, I've never been one of the masses that stands in a line for a long period of time. I can't stand it. I can't stand lines. I can't stand waiting. I can't stand being close in with people. That's me. So I've always, social distance has been a part of my life for a long, long time.
Well, one of the things we probably failed to mention in all of this, or what the thinking of what can we do when you reopen the stadiums? What about food safety?
Yeah.
That's the thing we really got to take heed of, because it's something we're putting directly into our mouths. And if we don't have enough testing going on in the United States, and we don't know who's infected and who's not, maybe somebody who thinks they're healthy handling your food, and you're going to be able to purchase that food. There we go, the domino effect right there.
Can I jump in on that real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay,
Haick, go
so
ahead.
like I told you, I have a nephew in the Air Force. I have another buddy who's in Korea, and in the Air Force, both of them. So on Facebook, they'll share some of the things, the briefings that I don't know what you want to call them. They'll have public information officers telling you about all the stuff. So in Korea and at Aviano in Italy, these guys are going around and they're like, this guy's infected and we're looking for everything. They go through your credit card statements, your phone bill, and everything. Find out where you've been. And every single time, these guys are getting traced down to the Starbucks, to the McDonald's, to the Taco Bell on base, to the sushi spot down the street, to the bar. You know, it's all these public eating places.
Mm-hmm.
And the PX, you know, at the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where it's happening. It's not.
It's funny you mention that because
not necessarily coming from work or from school, but it's coming from the restaurant.
It's funny you mention that because I went to the Studio Cafe here in Fayette County by Pinewood Studios. Actually, it's in Pinewood Studios, Atlanta, Fayette, Georgia. It's actually part of the studio. And Friday night and Saturday night they have this buffet. I should have went Friday night. Saturday night it was packed, and with Tom, Dick, Harry, Jane, Tyrone, Bill, everybody. All right, and so the line was so long. I made a video about it. It's on Instagram. I'll put a longer video up on YouTube later tonight. But they had this line was so long. What I did, we were talking about social distancing. Okay, I sat at the bar to eat. Only person to sit at the bar. Everybody, they asked me, said, "Do you want to be at a table?" I said no. For the same reason that we discussed, Richard. I practice social distancing. I don't like the communal tables. I didn't want to be around people. And I was shocked that people were there. I mean, packed, okay? At the bar, I had more than 6 feet of space. Cool. So the line forms behind me. And I waited. I tried to wait until I was the last of the Mohicans. And I got in there. And this is me, okay? Ladies behind me, there's a hand sanitizer set up. One on the left, one on the right. Everybody's grabbing their sanitizer, doing it. I grabbed my lady behind me, didn't grab hers. And I looked at her. I didn't say anything. I just looked. Now, when you get in the buffet, you've got an option. You can either be on the right side of it or the left. The left, when you come in, if you naturally turn, you're on the right side. You have to make an effort to go to the left. I made an effort to go on the left to get away from her. So, because I'm thinking, she's not going to sanitize. It's dangerous. She looks at me like, why did I go over there? And I'm thinking, lady, seriously? I don't know you. I don't want to know you. What are you doing? So I see what you're getting at because as far as, public places, because you are in a public place and you run the risk of being around people who they know what's going on, but they just want to be buttholes. Okay.
Right.
And that certainly was that person.
Yeah. Well,
there you go.
Going back to what I was talking about, I don't know what you want to call it, the ground zero, I don't know, the patient number one or whatever it is usually the guy who works there and who's serving you. You didn't decide he couldn't take that day off and stay home sick.
Right.
So he comes in and he's, not doing what it's always that, whether it's this or E. coli or something,
Yeah.
It's always the guy who's not washing his hands and just doing his thing and serving you your food. Yeah,
And folks, you know what though, Richard? If you see people, like I went to Zaxby's the other night, and people handle money. But I don't think they pay attention to the fact that money is dirty too. Right?
Well,
So,
They found this disease on money.
See, so you have to clean your hands. I told her before as she was giving me a receipt, before she gave me my money, I said, "Did you clean your hands?" I said, "Clean your hands again." You know, and clean, because you have to remind people. Even that, like I was at the gym last night. You know, this girl's doing a treadmill, several feet away from me. I'm on the rower, and she gets up and doesn't. She gets up and does not wash down her seat. So I flagged her down. I pointed like, "Wash down your seat." You know, people have to remind other people, to do it. I mean, because that's the way we save ourselves in society. Because what's happened is that when I grew up, I was taught cleanliness is next to godliness. Okay, so yeah, I know that we've got the rise of the atheist and all that, and okay, fine. But the bottom line is, when I was younger, we more universally practiced being clean. And the older I got and the more populated we got, it seemed like we walked away from that. And maybe this will cause us to turn back to being clean. You know, go ahead, Richard.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I just had a little story. I went to New York, wanted to go buy a falafel from one of those, or a gyro, whatever it's called. From one of those street, yeah. One of those little corner guys, you know. And I ordered my thing.
Get a shawarma. Get a shawarma. They're better. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I ordered the food from the guy, takes my money, then he starts making my food. I'm like, wait, you didn't wash your hands. By the way, I also saw you a few minutes ago blowing your nose behind the person.
Oh,
you know,
God.
He was. I'm like, you say, oh no, I'm wearing my gloves. I'm like, you're wearing the same gloves that you used to touch my money. I'm like, just give me my money back, and let's call it a day. I'm not eating your food. You know,
hey, that's what gives it flavor, Richard.
Yeah, but it's also what keeps me on the toilet all night.
I did not hear that.
I found a better establishment to eat, but yeah, I hear you.
I don't know if this is breaking news, but I was watching CNN just now, and I guess the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, his wife, just tested positive for coronavirus.
I saw a tweet on that. Yeah.
So, but this begs the question: is that here we know Trump was exposed to the virus. He refuses to get tested. He continues to host his rallies and dinner parties. This could stop the whole federal government globally. I mean, Justin Trudeau is going to be tested positive.
I'm waiting for somebody to start the Trump watch, see how sick he gets. You know,
when he was doing the statement, people were watching him, and a lot of people did notice that he was sweating. He seemed out of it. I mean, he kind of always seems out of it, but more than normal. People were really watching him, and a lot of people were kind of like, "Does he have this?" It was.
I mean, I want to speak on this just a little bit.
Sure.
I think people are just overreacting to Trump, just like because today somebody overreacted to me. Right now, it's like this time of year is my allergy season. And, you know, I get it bad. I'm at Travis Credit Union. I'm going through the ATM. I roll down my window, gust of wind comes up, all that pollen gets in my face. I start coughing. I can't, it was and sneezing uncontrollably, right? And there's an airman behind me. He's upset. He's honking his horn, and he's yelling at me or whatever. I do my transaction. I pull off. I look in my rearview mirror. He douses the ATM machine with some kind of liquid, wipes it down. I swear, he wipes it down, and you know, he changes his gloves. He puts new gloves on, and he goes, "What is ATM transaction?" I'm like, okay, so now this is like people are gonna be, because I hear this about Trump, and then my own experiences. Maybe the guy's just got allergies. Maybe, I mean,
well, I think the problem, though, Donald, if I can chime in, is the main problem is that we've had, and I'll just say this, is that what you're seeing are people reacting to a government that doesn't have its act together at a time when we need it to. And I remember the late John Kenneth Galbraith said that Republicans had the singular distinction of accusing government being inept, and then when they took office or they took power, they did everything they could to make it so. And
they are incredibly inept.
A classic example of this, but it's worse because unlike past governments, in particular, where we did have examples of governments that run well, like George H.W. Okay, and in terms of operating the federal government well, we have a government this time that is ran by a person who's the first person to not have any government experience whatsoever, and we've never done that before. And we did so because we gave rise to an electorate that does not have an appreciation intellectually. In fact, it doesn't have an appreciation for intellectuals, okay? But it doesn't have an appreciation for people who are experts at government and has memes for them and doesn't expect them to do anything. But then all of a sudden, hey, they really need them, and they realize that it's worse. It's not just even a Republican issue. It's a bipartisan issue, and I'll get to explain why I say that in a second. We put in on either side of the aisle activists, and they are one subject or one issue, and it has nothing to do with the efficient operation of government. And so if you have career federal employees who maybe don't follow one issue, suddenly that's a bad person. And we created this system. This system didn't happen without our participation. We allowed it to develop. President Obama was the last president that we had who was a person who was trained in the operation of government, but understood magically how to get people to do what was needed to be done in order to achieve an objective. Now, he had a block that was racial, and that's why he had to pull some tricks to get get Obamacare passed. And Obamacare works. For example, my healthcare bill per month is $1. Okay? Mm-hmm. And I'm with Kaiser. So point I'm making is that now we're so heavily politicized that on the left we have people who are activists who are also one issue, and they might as well be mirror images of the people on the right. And the activists in Oakland government is replete with these kind of folks, have no clue how government's supposed to operate. And so what we get is Jerry Brown gets rid of redevelopment, which gave us a gigantic affordable housing budget fund. Over time, we have a generation that comes up that thinks that because they were lucky enough to work in tech and afford these high dollar places to live, that there's something wrong with somebody that didn't, have that, forgetting for a moment the racism and the sexism that goes on, right? And so they drive up the prices of homes in the Bay Area and in Oakland. And so since we didn't have redevelopment to have, which would have had a larger affordable housing budget and fund to build affordable housing, what we have are people who've been pushed out. We have organizations like RHM Homes that have targeted elderly Black women for legal eviction in Oakland. This is documented. Over the last 6 years, kicked them out of their homes in East Oakland and West Oakland, and nothing has been done about it. And yet we don't have activists who say, "Well, do something about it," saying, "Oh, we'll just bring back redevelopment," which if we had maintained redevelopment at the time where from 2011 to present, the property values were increasing at skyrocketing rates as a function of housing demand, we would have had
I know.
billions of dollars, okay, for affordable housing statewide, almost $1 trillion. I told Gavin, if you add it up, our governor, he's been a friend of mine since '98, okay? So, but we let Jerry get rid of that for reasons that are activists. He came up with the idea that, well, it's going to save us $1 billion, but it didn't. And then later he let slip that he didn't think that housing should be subsidized in downtown so that rich people would not have to be, around what he thought was poorer people. Forgetting for the moment, we're just talking about, folks that are just working normal middle-class jobs and raising families, right? He basically let slip a number of words that made me think that he had no real reason for getting rid of redevelopment that had anything to do with saving the state of California money. Because he could have cut back on certain practices in redevelopment that were causing illegal activities and save the whole of it, and California would have been without its homeless problem. But now we have it. But instead of enacting policies that we did in the past that would develop the housing fast enough, instead what we have is this rationale that keeps these things in place. To wit, we need to build more housing. I hear that a lot. To get rid or to basically fuel this demand for housing by people who think they understand economics. They say, well, it's simple economics. And I point out to them, no, it's not simple economics, because the demand for housing is perturbated by the existence of the internet. If you are in the Soviet Union, or if you are in Antarctica, or if you're in Tokyo, you can, if you can afford to do so, buy property in Oakland as an investment. You could not do that when the normal supply and demand economic models were created. They didn't take that into account. But now that screws up everything. So you come off, you're building high-rate housing, high-rise housing, and I see this, and I'm living in Belarus, and I'm rich, and I'm thinking, hey, Oakland's got these new high-rises. I'm going to buy 1, 10, 20. Next thing you know, what do you have? Still high-price housing. The worst aspect of this are the people that push these ideas call themselves progressive. And then I remind them, I say, look, because I realize I can't remind them because they weren't alive in '84 when Ronald Reagan was president, right? And Arthur Laffer was pushing trickle-down economics, which is the same damn thing. I said, do you have any idea, any history in your head to know where we've been with this stuff? And so, they repeat this stuff. And then what's worse, they get on social media like they know what the heck they're talking about. And to me, sound like the complete bozos. And yet they get voted into office and they keep this charade going. And what happens is that they upset other people who are younger, who are black, who have gotten into this ethic that, because I'm black, I can't do anything. And I'm sorry, folks, I'm just being honest. That is a rampant problem in our community today.
That is fact.
When we don't need it to be there, because the opportunities are more broader than ever, and yet it's always, we can't do this, and it's always an acknowledgement of racism or something we can't do. Those rules are against us, as opposed to, you know what, change that. Okay, I'm not saying I'm not saying it's either or. There are people who are trying to change it, but I'm saying that there's still this cacophony of noise that says in big letters, you can't do anything. All right, not true. You can do something. So what happens is that they think they can't do anything. And what happens is it gives rise to Moms for Housing, which then commandeers a home and does something illegal. They get a bunch of people to yell in their favor. And then because they have their house, they think they've won, but you still have 4,000 people out there in Oakland who are homeless. And so the overall problem of the market creating this problem of homeless people has not been solved. And it could have been solved if we brought back redevelopment. All right? It's really stupid. I mean, and yeah.
I mean, like what you're talking about is real, because I remember back in 2002 when I told my parents, I was like, I'm gonna go out and buy me a house. I found a house in Oakland on Brigito. It was like $184,000, and my parents are like, "Are you crazy? You're actually you should just go ahead and rent you an apartment or rent your house. You don't have to worry about fixing anything, or if something happens, you can just go to the landlord." And then I was like, no. Ownership is the way to go.
Yep.
And I tried to tell him way back when, you want to get in the game now while it's relatively cheap, while we have the funds to do it. And I had a housewarming party in 2002. It was like I killed somebody. It was like a funeral, because everybody that came was like sad, like I had made the worst decision ever. I'm serious. All the people, like the generation that came before me, they were just like, they thought I had lost my mind. Like I was trying to do something that wasn't meant for me. But now, like looking back at it now, looking how we live it now, you know what I'm saying? It's the blessings,
Mm-hmm.
but those.
And guys, one other thing. Over here in New York, it's past 2 a.m.
Yeah. So okay.
As it
We'll,
is
hey, I'll tell you. We'll wrap up in. How about wrap up in 10 minutes? How's that? Or 2:30?
I gotta go. Well, I gotta go to bed right now. But either way, what's going on is really, really crazy right now, and I think you're seeing an increasing lack of trust in the media. I think you're going to see an increased lack of trust in the government. I think you're going to see a lack of trust in the politicians. Just like total mistrust is going to happen, and like the trust rates are
Vinny,
really.
Vinny, check this out before you go. Check this out. Speaking of lack of trust, I said I was going to show you this. This is the stadium. Do you see that? This is the look at the M. This is the M in Allegiant Stadium. See how it's off center?
Oh, well, that doesn't look right.
Look at it. It's crooked.
Now that I'm looking at it, I just literally can't unsee it. It's like one of those instances where you don't see it, but when someone tells you about it, you just can't get your mind off of it. That's all you see.
Yeah, I mean, look at it. And I'm gonna vlog about this as soon as I get off. I mean, it looks like some kid put it up there. Like somebody was drunk. I mean, the M is a full. What is that? Maybe 6 inches off center. A little bigger than that. Maybe maybe about a foot almost off center.
No, that's the scale. It's probably like maybe 10 feet.
Mm-hmm. No, it's obvious. It's like, wow. And you'd say, why did that happen? I'll tell you why it happened. It happened because they're on a fast track. They're told to hurry up. Yeah. Attention to detail has gone out the window. And it makes you think, God forbid, what else you're going to find in that stadium, right?
Yeah, it's not just up a little bit. It's actually tilted a little bit.
Yeah,
too.
it is.
If you look at the distance between at the top versus the bottom, there's a definite slant on that.
Yeah, it's tilted. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of something that the 1966 Batman Joker would do. You know how the Joker's lair was always slanted? You know that? You know why it was always, it was slanted, right?
Yeah.
It was slanted to reflect the warped mind of the criminal. So in that vein, what do we make of this M? I'm just saying.
It looks like refrigerator magnets.
To be fair, their Dutch angle was much more emphasized.
Oh, I know.
Here, it's very, very subtle.
Yeah, I know. I'm speaking a hyperbole. I'm aware of that, but still.
I know. But either way, I really did.
I couldn't resist.
Either way, Zennie and guys, I really did enjoy this call. It was nice having you invite me and with 3 other people. Hey, I can't wait to do this soon. And
we will.
Please,
next time we'll actually 4 people.
Everyone, please wash your hands.
Yeah.
Use Purell. Make sure take a shower, make sure you get yourself cleaned, make sure you get your money cleaned, make sure you get your credit cards cleaned. Because everything
and your smartphone too. Clean off your smartphone. Yeah.
I put PTO on that thing. I rub that a lot.
Yep. Smartphone. Hey guys, so we'll all go down together. How's that?
Sounds good.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Tomorrow.
Thanks, Zennie.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you. And tomorrow, I'm going to be joined, and you all are welcome to join us, because Jessica Dwyer, who is our entertainment and horror vlogger, is going to be on at 7:30. And we're going to talk about more cancellations. WonderCon was canceled. Horror Pound was canceled.
CinemaCon was canceled in Caesars Vegas.
Yeah, see, so like I say, if you guys want to come back, come on back.
Oh, I can't wait for that. I'm definitely going to give you ads.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right, and like I said, I'll say this: I'm working on getting a sponsor for everybody. So, stick around and hang in and tune in and don't check out. All right. Stick around live, everybody, but I'm going to end the stream. All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Dre the Great. Thank you, Barry Lee. Thank you, Jason D. Thank you, Raiders, everybody else. Didn't get all of your comments in. Jason D says the problem is the virus is in the air. You breathe it. If you're around, it affects people. And Barry Lee says just get soap, more effective, and hand sanitizers. Dre the Great says same, going to stock up on some more. And Dre the Great said, come on, ladies, sanitize, in response to my story about the Studio Cafe, which is a great place to eat, by the way. All right, guys, stick around. I'm ending the stream. Subscribe to Zennie62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com and Zennie62.com. See ya. All right.
Peace.
Hey, guys.